What's poppin' YouTube? What's poppin' Jin Jag? It's your boy UCF Jaguar and I'm coming back with another video. Now, my videos this week are going to be a little bit weird just because I clocked in over 11 hours of work each on Monday and Tuesday, so I just have not had any time to rewatch the coach's film of the Jaguar game, so you should expect a recap video of the New York Jets game to come out probably Thursday. Maybe I can come out with it tomorrow, but probably Thursday. And I really want to be able to rewatch the game and see exactly why we lost and like what we did wrong and all that kind of stuff. So you should expect that to come out then. But we're officially a quarter of the way through the NFL season. And the AFC South, it's pretty competitive right now. A bunch of teams tied at 2-2, but I just want to discuss a little bit about each of these teams and give it kind of an outlook. So let's get it.
It's a foot race. Robinson and Browner, and it's Robinson who wins it. Touchdown, Jacksonville. His 14th win. Bortles with top, looking deep for Robinson.
So the AFC South is out to another typical AFC South start. I mean, we have the Texans, Titans, and Jaguars all tied in 2-2, and basically the division winner one quarter of the way through the season is pretty much on pace to be either 8-8 or 9-7. And of course, you have the Colts down there at 1-3. But it's just weird because the Jaguars whooped the Texans' ass, the Texans has whooped the Titans' ass, and the Titans have whooped the Jaguars' ass. So we have a round robin of just like weird ass whoopings going on. So we have no real clear picture of who the heck is really number one in the AFC South. Now, most people around the league, and just including me, all just pretty much think it's a three-way battle between, the Jaguars, Titans, and Texans, with the Colts pretty much being left out of it. Just because, the Texans, or not the Texans, but the Colts, they pretty much prove that they can only really win when luck is around. I mean, they don't have enough talent around a team for a mediocre quarterback to necessarily be able to carry the team. Some good news is Luck apparently will be returning to practice this week. Now, a lot of people are maybe predicting him to be back in like 2 to 3 weeks, but I honestly don't think this guy sees the field to at least November. It just seems like this whole offseason they've just been kind of hiding any kind of talks about him. I mean, the Colts owner Jim Irsay was literally like denying whether or not he believes that Andrew Luck would have a chance to start week 1 of the NFL season. Obviously you see where they are right now, so it just seems like there's a lot of shady stuff going on where they don't want to reveal maybe anything weird about him. But it's kind of weird with their quarterback situation because after Jim Irsay said this, like a few days later, they go out and trade their former first-round pick Philip Dorsett for Jacoby Brissett from the Patriots. So Jacoby Brissett kind of got thrust into the starting lineup really quick after Scott Tolzien put up a pitiful performance in week 1 against the Rams. So Jacoby Brissett has played all right. I mean, the dude's super inexperienced, but they have some good pieces on offense. Dante Moncrief. They've got T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton's obviously been a beast. They've got the ageless legend Frank Gore on that team. They have a pretty good team, but they haven't committed enough to the trenches. The Colts just aren't looking very up from here. But now the Titans, they pride themselves on their offense. They're a smash mouth, exotic smash mouth, I think they call it, football team. It's pretty much a two-headed monster back there with Derrick Henry and DeMarco Murray. But the thing about their team, they have those guys that are, running backs. They also have at wide receiver, they have their first-round pick Corey Davis, Eric Decker out there. They're very good, explosive players, but, they got Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota is a great quarterback, can hurt you with his legs, and in front of them, you got two of the best tackles in the league with Jack Conklin and Taylor Lewan. So their offense is pretty much stacked at every position, but the way you want to beat these guys is the way that the Texans beat them. They held DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry to 13 carries for 38 yards. They were just able to limit them. With the Titans, the way they want to play is they want to get up on you early so they can let their defense kind of hold them off while they kind of continue to, tire the other team's defense. Get the ball in there, tire these guys out with hard-nosed kind of runners like Derrick Henry and DeMarco Murray, and then that's what opens up the passing game when Marcus Mariota is able to throw it over the top or he's able to run out on a bootleg. I mean, they've got all kinds of potential for that offense, but their defense, they've got some nice pieces on their defense. You know, Orakpo, of course, on a defensive end. Their first-round pick, Adoree Jackson. I mean, that dude's been an absolute stud at cornerback and punt return. I mean, that guy's a monster. But other than that, you know, their defense, it isn't like a world beater or anything. Like, I don't think it's necessarily elite, but it can definitely get the job done and be able to lead you far. But, you know, when their offense isn't clicking, it's just gonna mean bad things for the team, you know, if their run game isn't doing well, as like the Jaguars. But on top of all that, one thing I don't like about the Titans is just their head coach, Mike Mularkey. I just think this guy has no fire, and he's not. I just don't think he's going to be able to get a team to rally around him just later in either season or like postseason. I just don't see this guy ever being able to win a Super Bowl, but you know, that's just me. But probably the team trending upwards most in the AFC South is the Houston Texans. You know, their first 2 games were pretty bad. Their first game against the Jaguars, they got their ass whooped because they did not know what the heck they were doing at quarterback. The first half, Tom Savage just stood in there like a statue while Jaguars were able to pile up sacks. But then the second half, Deshaun Watson came in there, did pretty well, but you could tell there was a lot of miscommunication going on with their, with the wide receivers and the quarterback. But next week, they go out and put kind of a stinker up on Bengals, even though they were able to squeak out a win because they were able to get like a 50-yard rush by Deshaun Watson, you know, a quarterback scramble. But the last 2 weeks, they've done a lot better. Now, granted, they lost to the Patriots, but Deshaun Watson was looking better, you know, able to compete with the Patriots, even though they're only 2-2, not looking too hot right now. But you also, last week, though, they just put an absolute ass whooping on the Titans, and it just seems like Deshaun Watson is definitely clicking on all cylinders right now. They got Will Fuller back, of course, DeAndre Hopkins. Their running game did pretty well with Lamar Miller, and who I really like, Deontay Foreman. I don't know why he's not starting, but they got some weapons on that offense. But the thing about Deshaun Watson is I'd kind of pump my brakes on him a little bit just because it's a small sample size. Let's see how he does later in the season once he piles up more games and defensive coordinators are able to see ways to scheme against him. You know, they might look at his tape and say, hey, this guy completes 80% of his passes to the right, but when he's throwing to the left, only completes 20% of them. So, you know, you find different things like that you can try to scheme against and see if he has any kind of answer for it. But, you know, if he keeps putting on the way he does, it's gonna be tough to be able to compete. But you know, when you go to, but also like their defense, of course, their defense is obviously very, very well. J.J. Watt seems to be knocking his rust off. He's been doing very well. Jadeveon Clowney, Whitney Merciless. You know, they've got a lot of weapons on their defense, but you know, we all know their defense is pretty well. You know, I don't know how well their O-line is doing. I know they did pretty well against Tennessee, but we'll see how sustainable that is. You move on to the Jaguars. Now, the Jaguars have been led by their defense. You know what I mean? Their defense has been doing outstanding, leading the NFL in sacks. Jalen Ramsey and A.J. Boye are a fantastic group of cover corners. I mean, it's pretty much 9-on-9 out there in these games because whoever Jalen Ramsey and A.J. Boye got, they're pretty much locking them down for the most part. But what hurts the Jaguars is you don't know what Blake Bortles is going to show up. On odd weeks, Blake Bortles does great, and he's able to come out there and at least be a game manager and be able to make some throws that look pretty impressive. But on these even number weeks, he comes out and just kind of throws a stinker. You know, week 4, he's coming off his worst game of the season. He just didn't look very well, and you know, you just don't know what Blake Bortles is going to come play. You know, if he plays and he does well, the Jaguars can do very well. You know, they're a team that schemes himself to be able to, you know, as a run-first kind of team. They want to use Leonard Fournette in there to pile drive guys and be able to open up the pass that way. You know, they want to be a team that says, hey, we're going to run the ball, and they want to be a team that the defense knows you're going to run the ball, but they can still get yards on you. So we'll see how that whole thing develops. It really seems like going to rise or fall with Blake Bortles, but as you can tell, like right now, you don't know what's going to win the AFC South. You know, you don't know if it's going to be 8-8, 9-7, you know, 10-6. You never know. I mean, Houston, Texans, and Jaguars all look at their team and say, we have a lot of talent. You know, how can we mess this up? But each team kind of has their shortfalls. So We'll see who winds up winning this thing. But with all that said, that's pretty much all I got. Hopefully the Jags lost this thing down. We shall see. Got to start winning games that we have to win, kind of like that Jets game. Still super salty about that, but we'll live to see another day. Let's take down the Pittsburgh Steelers next week. But let me know what you guys think of the AFC South right now, and go Jags.